I realized that the reason I didn't regard other groups as competition was because the Supremes had been on top for so long. They ain't no more. They been off the top longer than they been on the top now, girl. If you have not already done so, please remember to like, share to Facebook, subscribe, and tip your favorite narrator via Cash App at $NayRob on YouTube. And if you are not already a part of this book club, please hit the Patreon link below and or the join button here on the YouTube. And for a small monthly fee of $5, you babies, yes, you can be privy to all the shenanigans before the YouTube gets it, if the YouTube gets it. Now, let's continue talking about Mary Wilson's supreme faith. We had to stop spending money, but Pedro would not. Even though he brought in little money, he'd long ago gotten into the habit of spending as much as he wanted. Pedro was now our manager. He'd been pushing me for months, and I gave in reluctantly. So at first I was confused about how Pedro became in charge of the girls. But now I realize it's because it was Mary Wilson's Supremes. You see what I'm saying? Not Mary Wilson and the Supremes. It was like Mary Wilson belonged to Motown. Pedro was in charge of Mary Wilson's Supremes, and therefore Pedro was in charge of the girl. Pedro was now our new manager. He'd been pushing me for months, and I gave in reluctantly. When I told Barry, he didn't say much, but I could tell by his expression that he didn't think it was a great idea. I'll be here to guide him, I said. I can tell him what to do. Girl, please. How the fuck you gonna tell him what to do when he kicking your ass all up and down the streets, girl? Shut the hell up, Mary, girl. Mary, you can't, Barry replied. And it won't be the way you want it to be. That's because Barry the Gordy knows that Pedro is kicking your ass all up and down the street. Needless to say, I didn't listen. I needed Pedro because I felt he was the only person I could trust. So I overlooked everything. The flashy clothes, the fast talking, the bravado. Barry and everyone else at Motown saw right through it. Could Pedro do a worse job managing the group than anyone else had? Could he do a better job than you could, Mary? That might be what the question should be. Cindy and Sherry were opposed to this change when Pedro told them that he was taking over. They said nothing, and that said it all. I knew what they were thinking, the same thing Flo and I used to think about Diane and Barry. It was very obvious that Pedro had a lot to learn, but he refused my help, and his flaws as a manager were soon apparent. We went to Las Vegas in May 1975 to sing the national anthem before the Muhammad Ali-Ron Lyle heavyweight title fight. The live national broadcast began, and Cindy, Sherry, and I stood in the ring waiting for the music. After a few interminable seconds, I spotted Pedro outside the ring. "Where's the music?" I mouthed to him. "There is no music." "Oh no," I thought. Sherry hummed a note, and we sang the Star-Spangled Banner a cappella. Happily, we rose to the occasion, and Howard Cosell even commented on how good we sounded. I mean, I didn't know you were supposed to have music unless it's like a great big band or something over there. I didn't know that. I didn't know. I thought they always sang a cappella. But okay. I mean, you learn something new every day. 3 weeks after Turkesa's birth, we arrived in Tokyo to kick off our 2-week tour. Hardly any fans were waiting for us at the airport. Every year it seemed that fewer people came to greet us. Even the number of reporters at the press conference dwindled. My mother and mother-in-law came along to help with the baby, and Herb and Mauna Loa were there too. The crowds were okay, and most of the shows were fine, but some of the clubs we played, like one in Manila, were small and dirty. It was demeaning to be in places like that, especially when people would say, "Oh, you're at that club? You really should be at blah, blah, blah," as if I didn't know that. Pedro was out almost every night. He insulted me when we were together in public. He made me hate myself. I began thinking that if all I could have was my career and Pedro could help me put that together, fine. Sometimes I saw my situation very objectively. I'd make a mistake and it was my job to fix it. At other times, though, my insecurities overwhelmed me. Then all I wanted was for Pedro to love me and care for me. It was almost schizophrenic. Because Pedro could be like two different people, I began to think like two different people just to deal with him. Okay, so pause. Sometimes, ladies, motherfuckers be crazy. They either got alcohol syndrome, they be crack babies, they got schizophrenia and they ain't told you, they bipolar, undiagnosed. It's so many things that human beings don't take in account when choosing a partner. That motherfucker could be crazy. That's why I'm like, this relationship is some bullshit. I mean, I'm not about to jump out the window for no nigga that won't open the door for me. In June, Motown finally released the Supremes' first single in 2 years. He's My Man, a sexy disco number. Sherry and I traded off leads, and although I was never fond of disco, I love this song. The single and the album got very positive reviews, and the renewed interest in the Supremes garnered us lots of press and many television appearances. The industry treated the Supremes as a comeback album. Working with so many different producers kept the LP from achieving the kind of cohesiveness our albums with Frank and Smokey had. But maybe that wasn't so bad. There was a little something for everybody, as they say. In the year and a half the Supremes hadn't recorded, times had changed, and several girl groups came on very strongly. Particularly the 3 Degrees, especially in England, and LaBelle. LaBelle was Cindy's old group and the Supremes' former cohorts, Patti LaBelle and the Bluebelles, but totally revamped with futuristic costumes and a sassy style. Their recent #1 comeback hit, Lady Marmalade, was fresh and daring. Interestingly, the song's writer-producer Alan Toussaint had dated Jean Terrell years before. At the time, Jean didn't think it was important that he produce us, even though I suggested she asked him. Jean don't like you, girl. She don't respect you. Why would she do you a solid like that? She don't respect you. She don't like you. She don't respect you. That's why she ain't with the Supremes no more. I'm not one to speculate, but in this case, it is tempting. LaBelle took a drastic step, and it worked. Now, if we could just find the right person with the right ideas for us, the Supremes could be on top again. That August, we attended the first annual Rock Music Awards show, Don Kirshner's answer to the Grammys. Diane and Elton John co-hosted the nationally televised event, and performers included Kiki D, Chuck Berry and LaBelle, who won Best R&B Single for Lady Marmalade. After the show, we went backstage to visit Diane and LaBelle. When we got to Diane's dressing room, she was leaving with her 2 daughters and Mike Roshkind. That would be Rhonda and Tracy. She seemed very distracted and only waved as she walked right past me. Didn't we say in the last fucking video, why are you begging to be carried, Mary? If the bitch treated you bad last time in the person, why the fuck? Oh, okay, pause in the drawer. Remember when she went to go see Diane in concert, and Diane was up to the bullshit. She barely waved at Mary Wilson. They didn't want to give you a ticket, girl. And Mike Roshkind, the nigga that didn't want to give you the ticket, he was right there looking at you like, what the fuck are you doing here? I told you there wasn't no tickets. Then when she called you to say that she was going to come by and visit you, she didn't come. And then you're going to trot your funky ass right back there to the backstage dressing room and see the bitch. And all you doing is watching the back of her head get small. Girl, you ain't gonna keep carrying me. I'm sorry. I'm gonna catch the hint eventually. I ain't the brightest bulb, but I do know when a bitch ain't checking for me, okay? She seemed very distracted and only waved as she walked right past me. I made a silent vow not to visit her backstage again. It wasn't worth the humiliation. Thank you, Jesus. Next, we went with Cindy to visit LaBelle. She had stayed in touch with Sir Dash, Nona Hendryx, and Patti LaBelle, and was understandably proud of their great success. Like me, she was hoping to rekindle some kind of warmth among them. But when we got there, the 3 of them acted coolly towards us. Cindy was her usual friendly, outgoing self, but it wasn't being taken the way she meant it. An unspoken rivalry between our 2 groups seemed to color the conversation. Why in the fuck would y'all expect for these ladies to be happy to see you when you stole Cindy, bitch? Diana Ross stole Cindy to replace Flo and then left. Why in the fuck? They laughing at you, girl. They're all gonna laugh at you, girl. Plug it up. An unspoken rivalry between our 2 groups seemed to color the conversation. Show business is hard, and sometimes performers struggle for so long that it makes them hard too. I realized that the reason I didn't regard other groups as competition was because the Supremes had been on top for so long. They ain't no more. They been off the top longer than they been on the top now, girl. Once some of those performers who'd been 2nd, 3rd, 4th, or 15th to us made it, they let me know it. Now that the Supremes had fallen on lean times, the tables were turned. Let me tell you something. At my job, I try to treat every person kindly. You hear me? And when I'm training a person, I try to be as warm to them as possible, because you never know when them motherfuckers going to be your supervisor, okay? Especially because I'm happy and I'm good right here. I don't want to go no further up or no further around the corner. I'm good right here, okay? Because I'm at the end or almost to the end of my life. And I realize that, and I struggle with that all the time. I might got a good 20 sons left, maybe 25, okay, with these heart problems that I have in my family, right? You have always got to treat people with kindness. I know that sometimes it's hard because you be like, girl, not today. But I try to tell people, listen, it's not you. It's me. I'm having a bad day. I don't hate you, girl. I just need to be alone and sit right here by myself, okay? It's always good to let a person know that, so then they won't take your emotions personal. Mary Wilson said that the Diana Ross was distracted. She probably distracted because she got her 2 children there. When I got my kids around, like I got kids, but when I got my kids around, I don't give a fuck about nothing that's happening. My babies are here. Maybe, maybe Tracy was showing out and she had to take her to the bathroom and yoke her ass up. Who knows? So you can't really take it personal when people treat you certain ways and you haven't done nothing. All right? And on the same term, you can't be treating people bad when you know they ain't do shit to you. They ain't do it to you, girl. Your husband cheating on you, not Margaret in the next goddamn cubicle. In interviews, I spoke frankly about where we stood with Motown. I've been accused of being foolishly optimistic about the group. If only I could have been. By summer, all signs indicated that we weren't going to have a hit. He's My Man wasn't out more than a couple of weeks before we could tell it wasn't receiving adequate promotion. God damn, girl. Opening night in San Francisco basically went well, but I was tired and at points lost my voice. Still, we got very nice reviews, and the new show and new gowns gave us a lift. While we were there, Billboard was holding a convention, and Flip Wilson invited us to his cocktail party. I declined, fearing what Pedro would do. He'd already torn up all my pictures of Flip and destroyed all my diary entries containing his name. Sherry, Cindy, and I were outdoors in a nearby garden posing for a magazine cover when someone told me that my son and Pedro's sister were at Flip's party. The fuck is he doing there? Oh, my life.